The Bold and the Beautiful. Spoilers. Monday, March 2nd. I was thinking, Monday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful is shaping up to be one of those, oh no, here we go days, especially if you're a Taylor Hayes fan. Apparently, Taylor is going to get seriously spooked by something Sheila Sharp says. And knowing Sheila, you know it's probably dramatic, cryptic, and borderline terrifying. Meanwhile, Deacon Sharp is getting some bonding time with Hope Logan Spencer. I didn't realize just how much this father-daughter dynamic could steer Deacon's love life, but it looks like his kids might be giving him some unfiltered advice on romance. Maybe Deke Sharp will remind Deacon that he deserves better than Sheila before he even sets foot in Forrester Creations. Classic Deacon luck, right? Of course, Deacon doesn't just stop there. He'll pay Hope an unexpected visit at work, probably hoping to see her in action. And you can bet that Hope isn't going to let him off the hook. She'll likely pivot the conversation to Taylor, gently or not so gently, hinting that she's a far better match for Deacon than Sheila. But then, Sheila makes a confession that leaves Taylor shaking in her boots. I was wondering, what could Sheila possibly say to spook Taylor? Turns out, Sheila insists she knows what's going on between Taylor and Deacon. Cue the dramatic gasps. Luckily, it's just a false alarm. Sheila has some other motive, which might give Taylor the perfect excuse to step back from being Deacon's therapist. Maybe she'll play it like Deacon's made progress, and she's just too busy to keep seeing him, though she might quietly suggest some other great therapists who could fill her shoes. Meanwhile, Sheila remains blissfully unaware of the attraction brewing between Taylor and Deacon. I'm thinking eventually that secret will come out, but of course, soap opera logic demands a lot more drama before then. On another front, Steffie Forrester Finnegan is going to need some solid words of wisdom from John Finnegan. Finn seems to sense that Steffie is on edge and will probably ask how he can help. Steffie is expected to open up, and I imagine her lingering fears about Taylor and Deacon's connection will surface. Even though Taylor has agreed to shut things down with Deacon, Steffie may worry it's only temporary, and that her mom won't be able to stay away from him. This could put Taylor and everyone close to her at risk. Steffie may spell out her concerns to Finn, who will likely promise to protect his family and do whatever it takes to keep Sheila from spiraling. But if we know The Bold and the Beautiful, Steffie's instincts are rarely wrong, and spoilers hint she may have a bad feeling about the disaster looming just around the corner. So yeah, Monday is shaping up to be full of secrets, scares, and classic B&B tension. I think we're all bracing for Taylor to get that shock, and for Sheila to stir the pot even further, soap opera style. I think things are about to get really heated on The Bold and the Beautiful. Spoilers hint that Hope Logan Spencer is going to push Steffie Forrester Finnegan way too far, reigniting their long-standing feud in a big way. Here's what I'm seeing for the week of March 2-6. The tension kicks off when Hope teams up with Deke Sharp to convince their dad to move forward with Taylor Hayes. Of course, Deacon isn't exactly on board. He's insisting he can't do it, and maybe even hinting that Steffie is the real problem. From Steffie's perspective, she's just protecting her family. She knows that if Taylor doesn't cut Deacon out of her life, she could be kept away from her daughter and grandchildren. And we all know Steffie isn't about to risk Sheila Sharp's wrath spilling over onto her family, so there's no way she's backing down. I was wondering if Hope's frustration with Deacon might push her to confront Steffie directly. It seems likely that she'll want to give Steffie a piece of her mind, maybe even telling her to stop meddling in their parents' love lives. The spoilers point to a big showdown between Hope and Steffie on March 3rd, and honestly, I can't wait to see it. For a little while, Hope and Steffie got along, thanks to that whole fake tumor situation with Liam Spencer. But it looks like old tensions are coming roaring back. From what I can tell, Hope is going to hold Steffie responsible for Deacon's unhappiness, and might even accuse her of being cruel to Taylor too. I think Hope will argue that after everything with Ridge Forrester, Steffie should let Taylor move on with the man she loves. But there's a huge complication. Deacon is married to Sheila, who, as we all know, can go completely off the rails when she feels betrayed. If Deacon tries to leave Sheila for Taylor, it's practically guaranteed to end in disaster. Steffie, naturally, doesn't think Hope fully gets the danger here. She's going to lash out, defending her choices as a way to protect everyone. But Hope isn't going to like that Steffie is essentially bossing Taylor around and blocking Deacon's chance at happiness. Even though Hope wants Deacon free from Sheila, Steffie might believe it's already too late. Either way, the tension is set for some serious clashes between these two, and it's going to be must-see drama. The week of March 2nd, 2026, on The Bold and the Beautiful is packed with drama, and I'm noticing 3 storylines that fans absolutely won't want to miss. From Ivy Forrester's manipulations to Sheila Carter-Sharp's shocking moves, it's one wild ride. Let's start with Ivy. To me, it's clear she keeps convincing herself that everything she's doing is for Elektra's own good. But honestly, she's way past the line. I mean, persuading Elektra to break up with Will Spencer is one thing, but stealing her letter to him and planting a broken necklace on her desk? That's next-level scheming. And if that wasn't enough, Ivy pushed RJ Forrester to make a move on Elektra. It hasn't gone exactly as she planned, but I get the sense she's not about to let a little setback stop her. Watching Ivy navigate the fallout is fascinating, if a little terrifying. Then there's Daphne Rose, who's in a tough spot. She's figured out what Ivy is doing, and I can see why she's torn. On one hand, she knows it's wrong, but on the other, Ivy warned her to stay out of it. Still, I think Daphne feels for Elektra and sees how much Will still loves her. My guess? She won't just stand by. She's probably going to dig for proof, because without it, it's her word against Ivy's, and we all know how that would go. Shifting gears, another storyline I'm intrigued by involves Eric Forrester. He's heading back to FC, but the designs for Katie Logan Spencer's collection aren't finished. Everyone seems to agree that Eric can't quite pull it off in time. Plus, Katie never got a written contract in place. Bill Spencer thinks a verbal agreement will do, but I can't help wondering if a judge would see it the same way. To me, this could get messy very quickly. Finally, let's talk about Sheila. She's heating things up with Deacon Sharp, and then she goes and brags about it to Taylor Hayes. I don't know about you, but I'm cringing just thinking about it. Taylor is mortified, but later, Deacon tries to smooth things over. He claims the whole thing with Sheila was really about thinking of Taylor, and somehow she buys it, and even gives him a passionate kiss. I have to admit, I didn't see that coming. All in all, the week ahead is full of twists, manipulations, and steamy moments. Ivy's scheming, Daphne's moral dilemma, Eric's design troubles, and Sheila's audacious moves make it one of the most can't-miss weeks on the soap so far. The latest Bold and the Beautiful spoilers suggest that Ivy Forrester is about to get caught, and Daphne Rose already knows the truth. It feels like it's only a matter of time before Elektra Forrester discovers she's been deceived once again by someone she trusted. Can she ever forgive her scheming aunt? That's the million-dollar question. I've been thinking about Ivy, and honestly, she's working overtime to keep Elektra from reuniting with Will Spencer. To Ivy, it seems like Will has hurt Elektra one too many times. She even brought up to RJ that Will slept with Luna Nozawa. But here's the thing. Fans know Will was a complete victim in that scenario. He didn't even know who he was with at the time, so Ivy's anger there feels a little unfair. Still, Ivy isn't completely wrong when it comes to Dylan. But the way she's going about it? Totally over the line. Taking that letter and planting the necklace? That's just cruel. And manipulating RJ's feelings on top of that? Poor guy. Speaking of RJ, even though he kissed Elektra, she immediately pulled away. She made it very clear. She's still in love with Will, even if they're broken up. Elektra genuinely wants things to work out with him someday. And right when Will was about to make things right, Ivy swooped in. No wonder Elektra is completely confused right now, while Ivy keeps insisting she should just forget about Will. It looks like RJ is currently playing along with Ivy, but I can't help but wonder, does he actually care for Elektra? If he does, I have a feeling guilt is going to hit him hard. At some point, he might be compelled to come clean, but probably not this week. When the truth finally comes out, Ivy is going to have a lot of explaining to do. Threatening Daphne Rose won't help her case. Ivy might try to spin it as protecting Elektra, but after everything, including the whole Remy Price fiasco, I can totally see Elektra disowning her aunt, at least for a while. To me, it seems like Ivy's bitterness comes from being alone while Electra has real love. Remember, not that long ago, Liam Spencer rejected Ivy's reunion suggestion. Maybe there's a chance for redemption down the line, but for now, Ivy's definitely on thin ice. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for the week of March 2nd, 26, are shaping up to be full of drama, passion, and messy entanglements. To me, the most tantalizing storyline is Deacon Sharp's ongoing struggle between desire and duty. And yes, Taylor Hayes is very much at the center of it. Fans know Taylor and Deacon share a complicated history, and while Taylor has been banned from seeing him, Deacon can't seem to resist fantasizing about her. At the same time, he's trying to juggle his marriage to Sheila Carter Sharp. And here's the kicker. Last time Sheila made a move, he turned her down, but this week, he doesn't. I think that little choice might buy him some time before Sheila figures out the truth. Though, of course, he's still daydreaming about Taylor while getting close to Sheila. Classic Deacon. I couldn't help but think about the scene where Sheila rushes off to spill the news to Taylor. Sheila really doesn't have many friends, so anyone who will listen is fair game. And when Taylor hears about Deacon and Sheila's extracurricular activities, she looks horrified. I mean, who wouldn't? Later, Deacon races over to see Taylor. And when she confronts him about Sheila's claim, he says he was thinking of Taylor the whole time. Naturally, they end up in a passionate kiss. Sloppy seconds or fate? You decide. Meanwhile, Deacon and Taylor's magnetic pull is only getting stronger. Hope Logan Spencer and Deke Sharp are encouraging their father to follow his heart, while Steffie Forrester Finnegan is far less optimistic. I love how these family dynamics add layers of tension. I wasn't expecting so much friction around this romance. On another front, Dylan makes a bold move after learning about Electra Forrester and RJ Forrester's kiss. She plants a kiss on Will and later opens up to him about everything. It feels like a turning point for both of them. RJ, on the other hand, can't stop replaying his moment with Electra. Thanks to Ivy, it seems like RJ might be teetering on the edge of obsession. I'm getting serious Hope and Thomas Forrester vibes from this storyline. And as if the week couldn't get more intense, Steffie learns Will's news, and her reaction is pure shock. I'm curious to see how she'll process all of this. Will she step in, or will she watch the chaos unfold? For me, the highlight of the week is definitely the Taylor and Deacon saga. There's so much tension, guilt, and temptation wrapped up in their story. The rest of the week promises more secrets, bold moves, and emotional fireworks. The week of March 2nd, 2026, on The Bold and the Beautiful is shaping up to remind us why we can't look away. Because in this world, every kiss, every secret, and every decision has consequences. On Monday, March 2nd, The Bold and the Beautiful delivers some intense drama. And I have to say, Taylor and Sheila's awkward run-in might just steal the spotlight. I didn't realize just how tense things could get between these two, especially with Deacon caught right in the middle. Even though Deacon was technically Taylor's patient, their passion for each other proved impossible to resist, even with his marriage to Sheila. What's wild to me is how oblivious Sheila seems. She actually tried to befriend Taylor, but Taylor wasn't having it. She set a firm boundary, knowing her responsibility as Deacon's therapist. I think that's a smart move, though it definitely complicates the dynamics. Meanwhile, Steffie got wind of Taylor and Deacon's growing attraction. She immediately turned to Hope, asking for help to keep their parents apart. But Hope's reaction surprised me. She was actually relieved for Deacon. After all, she didn't want her dad with Sheila. Even Deke backed her up, and I think that makes sense considering Sheila's history. Steffie's concern, though, is understandable. Sheila is Finn's biological mother, and let's not forget, it wasn't too long ago she shot both Steffie and Finn, leaving Steffie for dead in an alley. With that in mind, Steffie gave Taylor a hard ultimatum. It's either Steffie and the kids or Deacon. I wasn't sure how Taylor would respond, but it's clear that Steffie is determined to protect her family at all costs. I think Monday's episode sets up some really high-stakes decisions, and I can't wait to see how Taylor navigates this emotional minefield. The latest Bold and the Beautiful spoilers hint that Steffie Forrester Finnegan might finally take a hard line with Bill Spencer. And with Kelly Spencer potentially caught in the middle, things are about to get even more complicated. Even though Steffie wasn't at the Forrester mansion during the explosive showdown, it seems inevitable that she'll soon be pulled into the heart of the drama. With tensions around Eric Forrester reaching a boiling point, I think Steffie deserves the chance to assess the chaos and maybe take control herself. Bill, of course, isn't making things easier. His determination to hold on to Eric's designs for Katie Logan Spencer's fashion line could spark a serious conflict with Brooke Logan Forrester and Ridge Forrester. Bill insists the designs rightfully belong to Logan, but Katie seems hesitant to take a firm stand, worried about straining her relationship with Brooke. From what we know, Eric only gave a verbal agreement, but Bill remains convinced his side has the upper hand. The Forresters are clearly on a collision course, and if they let it escalate, a full-blown legal battle could be inevitable. Still, knowing Steffie, I wouldn't be surprised if she bypasses the courtroom entirely. She has a history of taking matters into her own hands to protect her family. Remember when she forced Taylor Hayes to choose between Deacon Sharp and her role in Steffie's, and Kelly and Hayes Finnegan's life? Taylor eventually sided with Steffie, and that maneuver cemented Steffie's control. I can easily see her using a similar tactic against Bill. Despite his flaws, Bill loves his grandchildren fiercely. Steffie could threaten to cut off his access to Kelly until he lets go of Eric's designs, a move that would hit Bill right where it hurts. Of course, Katie might step in at some point, convincing Bill that the fight isn't worth it. Or, if things get really tense, she could even return Eric's designs behind Bill's back to defuse the situation. Either way, Steffie is likely to take a more assertive stance toward Bill, especially after his recent attempts to cling to Eric's creations. To me, it feels like she's ready to protect her family at all costs, and if that means playing hardball with Bill, I wouldn't bet against her, the bold and the beautiful. Spoilers, March 2nd to 6th, 2026. This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, things are heating up in ways that might make even the most stoic viewer blush. I was thinking about the ongoing chaos, and honestly, the magnetic pull between Deacon and Taylor seems impossible to resist, no matter how many obstacles their families throw in their way. The spotlight finally shifts back to the tangled love triangle between Deacon, Sheila, and Taylor. After Steffie and Ridge essentially pushed Taylor to end things with Deacon, I'm starting to wonder if that decision was really set in stone. To me, it feels like Taylor might be having second thoughts, and this week, they're likely to struggle even more to stay apart. Sometimes passion really doesn't play by the rules, and it looks like Deacon and Taylor might just prove that. Interestingly, Taylor's family isn't exactly cheering her on, but Deacon's kids couldn't be more supportive. Hope and Deke are clearly Team Taylor over Sheila, and I think their insistence might finally push Deacon to confront the cold distance he's developed with Sheila. Will their encouragement be the nudge he needs toward happiness, and maybe a divorce? I wouldn't be surprised if that happens sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, Ivy continues to stir up drama, this time with Electra's letter to Will. When RJ impulsively kissed her right in front of Will, it set off a chain reaction. I didn't realize just how much this would pull Will and Dylan closer together. It seems Will's sudden single status has Dylan paying extra attention, and she's about to drop some news that could change everything. I'm curious, will Daphne spill what she saw to Dylan so Dylan can relay it to Will? That connection alone is set to make waves this week. Here's a look at how the week unfolds. Monday, March 2nd. Steffie turns to Finn for advice, because apparently, chaos needs a referee. Hope and Deke push Deacon toward his own happiness. Taylor has an awkward, potentially explosive run-in with Sheila. Tuesday, March 3rd. Steffie and Hope clash over their parents' tangled love lives. Deacon can't stop fantasizing about Taylor, even while stuck with Sheila. Wednesday, March 4th. A newly single Will catches Dylan's attention. Things are about to get interesting. Taylor and Deacon face the ultimate test, staying apart. Thursday, March 5th. Sheila shows unexpected gratitude toward Taylor. Deke keeps reminding Deacon to choose his own happiness. Dylan spills everything to Will. Brace yourself for drama. Friday, March 6th. RJ can't stop reminiscing about his kiss with Electra. Will drops shocking news on Steffie. Expect jaws to hit the floor. To me, this week feels like it's all about temptation, choices, and the kind of family interference that either breaks people apart or pushes them together. I think viewers are in for some truly magnetic moments between Taylor and Deacon, and a whole lot of emotional fireworks for everyone else. I've been watching Bold and the Beautiful, and honestly, Ivy Forrester has completely lost it. She's gone full manipulator, meddling in Electra Forrester's love life like she's some puppet master. To me, it seems like Ivy is trying to force her own idea of happiness in onto her niece, but we all know this kind of scheming never ends well. I'm pretty sure Electra is going to explode once she realizes Ivy has been meddling, especially when it comes to her relationship with Will Spencer. Here's what I'm thinking. Ivy's walk of shame out of Los Angeles is coming, and I have a feeling Daphne is going to be the one who exposes her. Everything is lining up for Ivy to be off the canvas for a while, maybe even long-term, because Ashley Brewer, the actress who plays Ivy, is clearly well into her third trimester. Judging from the photos she's posted, her maternity leave is right around the corner, which means Ivy's exit is imminent. Right now, the show seems to be setting up the perfect storm for her departure. I can totally see Electra discovering that Ivy has been lying and manipulating behind her back to break her up with Will. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ivy tries to push Electra toward RJ Forrester, even though Electra has made it very clear that Will is the one she loves. The tension is building, and I think a massive fight between Electra and Ivy is going to be the trigger that finally pushes Ivy out the door. Imagine her walking out of Forrester Creations in LA, defeated and humiliated, after Electra cuts ties with her scheming aunt. That's the kind of dramatic exit the show is clearly teasing. This week gave us a perfect example of Ivy's treachery. Daphne saw Ivy steal the letter Electra wrote to Will and stash it in her purse. At first, I think Daphne sensed something was off, but she didn't have the full picture yet. Once she pieced it together, she realized just how devious Ivy had been. Ivy even replaced the letter with Will's broken necklace, something that caught my eye because Electra had told RJ the material was unbreakable. Was it symbolic of their relationship, or just sloppy continuity? Hard to say, but either way, it worked in Ivy's favor. Ivy left the broken necklace on Electra's desk to make it seem like Will had done it on purpose, like he was done with her. Of course, without the letter, Electra assumed the worst, exactly what Ivy wanted. She thought Will was going to meet her, but since he never saw the letter, he left thinking everything was fine. Now, Electra believes Will read the letter and chose Dylan over her. That heartbreak explains why she let RJ hug her for comfort. And yes, he kissed her. But here's the thing. Electra immediately stopped it and told RJ, "You can't ever do that again." The next day, she reinforced it, making it clear, "You can't kiss or touch me like that." But Will? He only saw the kiss. He didn't see Electra stopping it. So, from his perspective, it looked like she had moved on. And, naturally, he was crushed. To me, this whole storyline is pure soap opera gold. Manipulation, heartbreak, and impending drama. Ivy's about to pay the price for meddling. Electra's heart is in chaos. And Will? Well, he's caught right in the middle of it all. I think the fallout from this is going to be messy, emotional, and exactly the kind of dramatic exit that makes Bold and the Beautiful so addictive. We all saw it. Daphne caught Ivy sneaking that letter earlier this week, and then had that awkward chat with Electra in the showroom. Poor Daphne is heartbroken because she thinks Will has dumped her. But then, when Electra explains the whole thing to Dylan, the letter, Will's necklace, and Will doesn't show up to meet her, Daphne flashes back to Ivy with the letter and thinks, okay, something's definitely off here. To me, that's the moment Daphne starts piecing it together. Ivy's manipulating both Electra and Will. By the end of this week, I fully expect Daphne to confront Ivy, and of course, Ivy warns her, "Don't you dare tell anyone about this." But honestly, I don't think that's going to work. I think Daphne is exactly the kind of person who's going to spill the beans. First, she's married to Carter Walton now, so of course she's going to tell him what Ivy's up to. And since Steffie Forrester is her best friend and co-CEO of Forrester Creations, I wouldn't be surprised if she tells Steffie too. Ivy's threat isn't going to stop her. Daphne isn't the type to sit on this kind of thing. I can see Daphne telling them that Ivy stole something from a coworker, her own niece no less, all to set up Will and stir up trouble. And while it's personal, this is Forrester Creations. We all know the company has no problem taking action over personal misconduct. Ivy has been plotting, lying, and scheming on company time and on company property. Steffie and Carter need to know. Whether she tells them immediately or not, Daphne is going to circle back to Elektra and tell her the truth. I think it's important that Daphne delivers the news herself. Unless, of course, the classic bold trope of eavesdropping kicks in and Elektra overhears the confrontation. Either way, Daphne is the one who's been there, and that's what makes it real. I wouldn't waste time telling Will first, because even if he did try to explain it, Elektra clearly trusts Ivy over him. She's admitted it. She trusts Ivy more than the guy she supposedly loves, and that trust is seriously misplaced. Bottom line, this is it all going to blow up in Ivy's face. When Elektra finds out what her aunt did, she's going to feel betrayed, violated, and furious, and she's going to take it out on Ivy, not Will. It's Ivy's scheming that hurt her. Elektra will probably realize Ivy exaggerated what she saw at Will's house just to drive a wedge between them. Sure, what she witnessed may have bothered Ivy, but it wasn't worth all the drama she caused. Let's be real. Dylan wasn't flaunting herself. Her bikini is modest. Elektra wears much skimpier bikinis herself. There was no seduction, no erotic scene, just a little pirouette. But Ivy made it into something else entirely, and Elektra fell for it. Once Elektra figures out the truth, she's going to feel like a fool. And I expect her to run to Will, tell him what Ivy did, and realize he was right all along. Hopefully, she doesn't catch Will in some compromising situation with Dylan, because that could undo any chance of them getting back together quickly. And of course, word is going to spread. Ivy is going to take heat at Forrester. Steffie might tell her she can't work at HQ anymore, or offer her the option to go work remotely, or at Forrester International in Paris. Elektra might even disown her. She's 21 now. She doesn't need a helicopter aunt trying to control her life. Ashley Brewer's maternity leave might mark Ivy's exit for a while, which makes sense. She wasn't on contract long-term and was really brought back to serve as Elektra's chaotic aunt. But when Ivy's gone, will anyone really miss her? I think most of us will be ready for a break from all the manipulation and drama. I was really caught off guard by what went down on The Bold and the Beautiful. Daphne Rose just walked straight into Ivy Forrester's fury after stumbling on a sneaky betrayal. To me, this could spark one of the juiciest feuds we've seen in the Forrester family yet. But here's the question I keep asking myself. Will Daphne stay quiet, or will she blow the whistle? Ivy's obsession with keeping Elektra Forrester and Will Spencer apart has clearly pushed her to some pretty extreme behavior. When she spots a heartfelt letter from Elektra to Will, she doesn't hesitate. She rips it away and stuffs it in her purse. It's hard not to wonder what's really driving Ivy here. Is it jealousy over Will's past fling with Luna Nozawa? Or something even deeper? Either way, her actions are downright ruthless. Then there's Daphne, who happens to catch Ivy red-handed. And let me tell you, this confrontation is not your typical, oops, caught you moment. Daphne immediately calls Ivy out, and Ivy's reaction is explosive. She lashes out, threatening Daphne to keep quiet. But Daphne, well, she's not exactly the type to be intimidated. I think what's so compelling about Daphne is that she came into the Forrester family seeming soft-spoken and almost reserved, but she has this fiery streak. She's willing to stand up for herself, and now she's face-to-face with Ivy's darkest side. The tension is palpable. Will Daphne dare to expose Ivy, even if it risks tearing the family apart? And then there's Carter Walton. Daphne might feel tempted to confide in him, but I can't help wondering if he'll believe her. Ivy is Forrester royalty, and Carter's loyalties are tangled. If he confronts Ivy, will he see the truth? Or will Ivy's charm and manipulation let her slide once again? Honestly, a full-blown war feels inevitable here. The rest of the Forresters, Steffie, Ridge, and the others, are going to have to pick sides. Will they rally behind Daphne and finally call out Ivy's betrayal? Or will family loyalty make them turn a blind eye? The stakes couldn't be higher, and I can't wait to see the fallout. For me, the big question remains, will Daphne bring Ivy's treachery into the light, or will Ivy continue to weave her manipulations, keeping control of the Forrester drama? Either way, I'll be watching every twist and turn. This storm is only just beginning. The bold and the beautiful fans, I have a feeling things are about to get messy. Thomas Forrester is back, and I can't help but wonder if he's about to shake up Hope and Liam's seemingly perfect life. Honestly, I didn't realize just how much trouble one ex could stir. Could Thomas really be the storm that threatens to tear them apart? Hope Logan Spencer and Liam Spencer may look picture-perfect on the surface, but Thomas has always been that lingering thorn in their side. I mean, when he returned for Hope for the Future, things got uncomfortably tense, and it seems like that tension isn't going anywhere. Now, with the fashion show around the corner, Hope and Thomas are going to spend even more time together. And I can't help but wonder, could Thomas pull a few of his classic maneuvers to worm his way back into Hope's life? We all know he's got a knack for making bold moves, especially when it comes to her. And let's not forget, he's no longer engaged to Paris Buckingham. Could that freedom reignite something between him and Hope? It feels like Thomas might try to rekindle the spark they once shared, and I have to admit, it makes me nervous just thinking about it. Until now, Liam and Hope have enjoyed some relative calm, mostly because Thomas has been working remotely in Paris. But if he starts spending more time in LA, or even convinces Hope to fly out to Paris, that calm could disappear in an instant. So here's the real question that's been on my mind. Will Hope stay loyal to Liam, or could Thomas's persistent charm make her waver? Could the attraction she once felt bubble back to the surface, creating an emotional roller coaster she didn't see coming? Personally, I think we're about to find out, and I wouldn't be surprised if things get messy fast. From where I'm sitting, it looks like Thomas is positioning himself for a dramatic comeback, and Hope is caught right in the middle. Whether this marks the beginning of the end for her and Liam, or just another twist in their love story, I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Ivy and RJ are in her office at Forrester Creations, and I couldn't help but notice how she's reading him like an open book. She suspects RJ has a thing for Elektra, and he doesn't deny it. He admits he really likes her and feels this strong urge to protect her. But then RJ drops a bomb. He made a move that could seriously jeopardize their friendship. Naturally, Ivy presses for details, and RJ confesses that while listening to Elektra, he leaned in and kissed her. Ivy asks how she reacted, and he admits she didn't push him away, but made it clear it can't happen again. To me, Ivy seems to think he should stick around. She even hints that Elektra could really use someone like RJ in her life. Meanwhile, Elektra is in the Forrester showroom, quietly glancing at her necklace and scrolling through a picture of herself and Will. I found it interesting how those little moments really show what's on her mind. Over at the beach house, Dylan and Will have a heart-to-heart. Dylan feels responsible for all the chaos between Will and Elektra, but Will reassures her she's not to blame. I thought it was sweet how understanding he is. He even says he could never let Dylan sleep in her car. Dylan tries to explain that Ivy misread the situation, and Will gets it. But he points out that Elektra chose to trust her aunt over both of them. Still, he admits he can't really blame Ivy for what happened with RJ. That line really stood out to me. It's a reminder of how messy relationships can get when trust is misaligned. Then Daphne shows up to check on Ivy, noticing how upset Elektra was over a letter. Ivy explains that she wrote it for Will and isn't comfortable discussing it without Elektra knowing. But Daphne interrupts, revealing that she actually saw Ivy take the letter meant for Will. That twist immediately makes me wonder how this will play out. Will secrets come crashing down, or will they find a way to navigate this tension? All in all, today's episode was packed with tension, confessions, and subtle emotional beats that make me think the coming episodes could get even more intense.